folks, we're here with Captain Tony. How you doing, sir?
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Well, I don't know. You're going to tell me.
Aren't we? Yeah.
Tony's been in the surveying business for longer than I can. It's been a long time, huh?
Over 30, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you know.
Oh, I'm told, who knows?
Well, see, he's part of the group, and that's what we were just talking about. I've been out of boating. Well, my daughter's 25, so it's been 26 years that I've been out of boating. Anyways, my daughter's like, Dad, you don't know how to have fun. You've never had fun. Well,
I hear it all the time.
It's now boating time, folks, and we're going to show everybody how to have fun. But we are going to do it the right way, and this is a major investment for me. And Tony, when you walked up, you said, boy, you got a lot of work to do.
Interesting, to say the least.
But the price is right where we're at right now. Maybe it's right.
Maybe it's right. We'll find out.
And that's what you do. I mean, you have the ability to really take this boat apart without taking this boat apart.
We'll basically go over the whole boat and then compile a list of things that we feel that are deficient. And then sometime in the next day or so, we will have what we call an overall condition and value report for you. So it tells you what the deficiencies are and what we feel the boat's worth.
Oh, fantastic.
So you know.
Yeah, so we know. But we're going to get right into it right now and find out exactly what's wrong. I mean, when you look at this boat, and this is that well-crafted boat that I've always wanted. And then you instantly pointed out things that me and my googly eye, the first day I saw it, I didn't see, like some pretty big damage here, fiberglass-wise.
Well, what we see so far is the running gear, which is the propellers and the shafts. We see that it has no anode protection.
Oh.
Here on the bottom.
Yeah, right down there in the bottom.
So what happens is, with no anodes, sacrificial anodes, you have nothing to absorb electrolysis.
Okay. So
we need to install some anodes, at least on the shafts.
Gotcha. This anode thing's got me nervous. I mean,
it's a very simple fix. It's a $40 item that you would clamp on to the drive shafts.
Right.
That'll help protect you from electrolysis and corrosion.
See, I've always had an outdrive.
Well, you're sitting in the water most of the time.
Right.
And you're plugged in.
Right, gotcha.
So you get electrolysis, so that's got to be done. Very simple fix.
And we'll get that on one of our later shows here.
Exactly. Moisture tests, density tests on the transom, which is an important part of the boat.
Right.
And the bottom so far seems pretty decent. Percussion test using a hammer. It's solid.
Right.
But what I'm seeing is that the paint is chipping.
Yeah.
It's built up too much.
Yeah.
So it's got to come off.
Right.
Sand it down. It's got to come off.
Okay.
And the whole bottom is going to need a couple good coats of barrier paint.
Now, when we do this, then I'm looking at the shafts right now. Do I want to maybe sand them down? Do I want to just leave them be?
They're fine the way they are.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna leave that then. Okay.
Right.
But when we get here, sanding
take the whole bottom down, Mike, with the light grit sandpaper.
Gotcha.
Get it nice and smooth.
Is
Get all
it
the paint off.
Or do I want to use a machine?
You want to use a machine.
Okay.
Get off as much as you can, and then add 2 real good coats of bottom paint. There's lots of stuff out there. You can go to West Marine Ask. There's a lot of guys there who know what to use.
And with the bottom paint too, this is something, I don't want to do it, but this would be a question somebody would ask me. What if I wanted to change the color scheme? What if I wanted to go to the green?
That's fine.
I mean, we don't have any problem with doing that. I'm going to stay black. I think I'm going to stay with.
The hardest part of changing colors is getting all this taped off properly.
Right.
That's the hardest part of the job, because that's your water line.
Right.
So you want all that taped off. Once you change colors, you have a tendency to feather it off and make it look a little crazy there. But I would stay with black. And black is a neutral color.
Right.
It doesn't show all the buildup of algae and thing as much.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to stay with the black. And on one of our future episodes, we'll be going probably with Brenner or working on and finding out exactly what I want to do for putting this bottom paint on. But we're looking $500-600 probably if I do it myself.
Oh yes,
probably a little more maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's still not a bad thing here. While we're here, just quickly, how do we buff this baby out? Because this is really bad.
What I've noticed is this is oxidized both sides. pretty darn good.
And I see areas where it looks like, I don't know, maybe it didn't oxidize as much.
That's actually
here.
hull rash, or it might have rubbed up against the dock, or,
gotcha.
or a bumper or something.
That's where the bumpers were. Okay.
And then you have a couple areas in the gel coat here that are damaged.
Wow, yes.
Okay.
We didn't even see any of this when we were.
What I would say
Nothing we saw.
is you just want to, of course, you got some damage back here too, Mike.
Okay, yeah, and that's the big
banging
stuff we got
against the
earlier.
dock. Okay, that's where they hit the dock.
Uh-huh.
So,
But this is something I can do myself?
yes.
Oh, there you go.
Go online and look up maybe buffing holes and things.
Sure.
It'll tell you, you might want to start with a very light grit sandpaper and moisture water, and lightly go over the whole hull, get some of that oxidation off, and then go back with a power buffer and use a good 3M rubbing compound. And if you spend some time on this, it'll all come back to real nice. And it's this way on both sides. Your pinstriping, of course, you can remove and repin. That's pretty easy.
Right over top of it, you said.
If you want to.
I mean, we can take it off, but I mean, I'm thinking heat gun. It's going to be a heat gun.
A heat gun is the only way you're going to get it off.
Yeah, exactly.
But the hull is going to be some work. You're going to have a day in it of your labor.
All right.
But it will come back real nice.
Well, that's what we want. That's what we want. And we were talking, and while we're still here on the outside of this stuff, you know, a lot of Jay, matter of fact, our cameraman, Jay has an incredible power washing company. He doesn't know how much work he's going to be doing.
He doesn't know what he's in for.
But the way this
That's algae, Mike, build up from not being cleaned and taken care of, and that'll come off with a power washer. What we're going to look for when we get to the cab is make sure we don't have any leaks.
We do.
We do.
That's why I was telling you, probably each one of them are going to have to come out the way they have that plexiglass up in there, and we're going to have to take that whole thing out. And
it's very easy to remove.
Yep, and then just reuse some sort of.
Rebat it with a good glue, and you'll be good to go.
Fantastic.
Other things we're noticing is the
rub
rails. You know, they're banged up in some areas. You can live with that, or you can replace it.
Well, you know, when you look at something like this is like that list you were talking about. This is probably something for the 2020 season, you know, because we're not going to have a lot of money to be able to do that. I mean, I like the rubber rails that have the rubber on the inside of them for obviously the reasons when you hit a dock. And
well, the biggest thing is the season's short.
Right.
And you want to do the things that really need to be done up front so you can enjoy the season and just peck away at it over time. So the swim platform, Mike, keep in mind the swim platform, of course, is a boarding platform.
Sure.
But it's always exposed to water, and I mean lots of water.
Okay.
You slow the boat down, you've always got water that comes back over the swim platform, so it's always exposed. What we look for in these, we take our moisture meter, and if you'll see, it pegs the meter and says that the FRP, or the fiberglass, is totally wet.
Oh.
So that means it's wicked up with water.
Okay.
So the main thing is once we find this with our meter, we'll go back and hit it. To me,
that sounds drier over there than it does here.
If you listen to this and you listen to this, it doesn't take an expert.
Yeah.
So it is soft in areas. It's drier over here. You can tell, it doesn't take an expert to hear that. What that means is it's wicked up with water. It always will be wicked up with water.
Okay.
Can you live with it? It's up to you. Is it a detriment to the boat? No. But it's going to be wet, and it's going to stay wet forever.
Right, because how do you wouldn't be able to fix that without what would you have to do?
You can't dry it. You just cut it out.
Right.
It would not be worth the expense.
Gotcha.
So it's an integral part of the structure, but it's not a support part of the structure.
Okay. Oh, great. Wow.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's not significant. It is, but it's something you can live with.
Okay.
Period.
All right. Well, that's if that's right now all I got to worry about on water, then
we're not done yet, Mike. Okay. So, Mike, we're looking at fuel tanks and how secure they are. We're looking at fuel lines, whether they're cracked, stressed. Fuel fill lines, we don't want those cracked or stressed. So these tanks do appear to be secured pretty good. You don't want them rolling around when you're out at sea.
Gotcha.
Full of fuel. It's never fun. Another thing we're seeing here is these cooling water hoses. These take water from the lake and circulate them through the engines. Before they after they penetrate the hull, they come to what they call seacocks. See that little lever there?
Yeah.
So in the event of emergency, you can shut that lever off. It stops water if one of these hoses broke. So these hoses that are feeding these engines are aging, and they're stress cracking. What does that mean? It means when you get some time, they probably should be replaced. Can you run with the way it is? Sure. But the danger is you're out cruising. If one breaks, you start taking on seawater, and of course, eventually you're going to catch it, but it's going to, you know, it's going to dump a lot of water in before you do finally catch it and shut it off. So rather than ruin your day, you're better off just to replace these up front.
And that's where the batteries belong in this?
They sure do.
Okay.
And let's see here in a minute. They could be secured a little bit better. It looks like they've got some old wire ties here.
Yeah.
So we're going to have two batteries here, and what I can see off the top is they need to be secured a little bit better.
Okay.
When you're rolling,
Right.
they're going to come loose. These terminals need to be cleaned up. Looks like they've been messing with them for a while, so you take them off, clean up the terminals and the posts, and just get a little bit better connection. So there's two batteries for this boat. And
then the switches.
they're both starting batteries, but they both also act as house batteries and power all the electronics and the interior lights.
Okay.
So they have a dual action. So our water line that I believe at this point feeds our air conditioning system, again, comes out of the bottom with a seacock.
Yep.
And that's flexible rubber hose. And you can kind of see where it's stress cracking, and it's old.
Okay.
And again, we don't want that to break while you're at the dock or underway. So that should also be replaced.
Okay.
Very simple fix. Again, we've got a lot of oil in the bilge, oil deposit, which is very typical because you do a couple oil changes and a couple drops of oil will make this bilge look like this.
Really?
And what happens is they change the oil 3-4 times over a period of 4 or 5 years or longer, and the owner just doesn't ever clean the bilge, so it just builds up with bilge water. And as the bilge pump kicks on and empties the bilge water, we get all this deposit. It's a buildup over time. Again,
what can you use to clean this and still be environmentally safe?
Your friend with the pressure.
Maybe some Dawn liquid?
Absolutely. Dawn is the very best thing you can use because it actually penetrates the oil, you know, mixes it up, and when it dumps overboard,
it's okay.
It's not the best, but it's better than just dumping water full of oil overboard. But Dawn will break it down pretty good.
I'm really big on Simple Green back when I was in boating.
It's good stuff.
Same stuff. I mean, it makes you cry, but
it's good stuff.
And I don't know, would that do it with the oil buildup though too? I don't think it would.
Stick with Dawn.
Dawn, gotcha.
And that is pretty much what everybody uses is Dawn. And again, Dawn and a little bit of a scrub brush for a few minutes, and then power wash the heck out of it. And then you'll have something. And you plan to do it once. That's it.
Take the batteries out, I'm assuming. Get everything out of there,
I
right?
would pull the batteries.
Yep.
It'd be a good idea. And this is open enough, where most aren't, where you could get this done in just a matter of an hour.
That works so fantastic.
Just some good Dawn. That's all you need. And it's just years of deposit from oil changes.
Well, you know me. We're going to get that all. There'll be no deposits on my boat.
I'm sure there won't be. Okay. So we're rolling through the support system, which is the stringers and bulkheads. And this is what? This is a 91. Okay, so what we see, and not to done wellcraft, but what we see in older boats is a buildup of moisture in the stringer system. So the stringer system is nothing but laminated wood. And any time that you encapsulate wood and it gets moisture in the wood, it has nowhere to go. Can't escape. So what we find on many of the older boats is that when we take our meter and we put our meter on here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it here yet, but it's actually pegging the meter at about 25% in areas. So when you take your hammer, and you can hear that, but when you come over here, you can hear it's a lot flatter. So that tells me with the meter and the hammer, we have areas that are wet. What does that mean to you? It means A, that they are wicked up with water in certain areas. B, when you buy an older boat like this, you're going to have to live with this.
Okay.
The important thing is the overall structure, as you can hear, is pretty darn good.
Right.
But you got a lot of areas that are wet. Moisture, could be a little bit of rot. Over time, it probably won't get a lot worse. It's probably done. It's as bad as it's going to get. But they are going to, these older boats are going to wick up with water. Some of the manufacturers over the years say that their wood structure, or their wood frame that they start with at the factory and then they laminate it, they feel that the fiberglass is their strength and integrity. So there's a lot of debates on stringer issues. That's probably the biggest debated item in boats. You're always going to have a certain moisture level, no matter what boat you're looking at. And the older the boat, the more moisture and the more wet areas you're going to find, because water weeps in through bolts and fittings, weep holes like this here, and it just wicks into the core. So it becomes on a boat like this, can you live with it or can you not? And another thing we're looking at is make sure these engine mount brackets are secure, and it does seem to be a little better in these areas as far as the moisture levels in the stringers. So again, this is something that we see, and there probably is some areas that are wet and probably a couple areas that are possibly rotted. But you know, as long as you look for boats, you're never going to find one that's completely dry.
It's not a deal killer.
I don't think so here.
Okay.
Looking through the helm area, we're seeing, you know, the canvas is what we call fair. You got areas where stitching's coming out and things like that. My biggest problem is you got zippers and stuff that are kind of messed up, and then your plastic, which we call isinglass, is dirty and it's marred up in areas, but it could be cleaned where it would be livable.
Okay.
And the same with back here, as you can see, it's pretty self-explanatory. Zippers need to be cleaned up, and the canvas is really pretty decent. So eventually you'll need to have new plastic installed. And then back here with the vinyl seats,
yeah,
we've got some, you know,
that's from the sun, right?
That's from the sun.
Wow.
You know, and it's cracking. Again, that's going to have to be reupholstered. Same here on this other seat. The helm seat, and then the
backs are pretty good.
Yeah, the backs are in good shape.
And this is for the front of the boat.
Yeah, that's a sun pad, and that looks to be pretty fair. The two helm seats look to be in pretty decent condition.
Okay.
So what else moving forward here? We've got, first thing off the bat is this is an engine room blower. So that removes all the exhaust or any fuel that might be leaking that's built up fumes. It removes it, gets it off the boat.
Okay.
Bearings are going bad in that.
All right. Not at that. 30 bucks, 40 bucks.
A new motor is a little bit more.
I've been out of boating for a while there, Tony.
And can you live with it? Yeah, but I would replace it.
Yeah, we'll put a new one on.
GPS, it's the Garmin 210 series. Outdated. It's useless.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye to that.
Bye-bye.
The VHF radio does appear to be working. We don't have any panel lights. They're not coming on. It could be a fuse or could be just little bulbs.
Gotcha.
Nav lights, I don't think are coming on. Could be bulbs, could be a fuse. Courtesy lights, they do come on.
Yep. Would this be where, because everybody's going LED, would this be where I'd probably have hook it in right in there? Because it's all 12 volt anyway.
It's all 12 volt. Your docking lights are forward, and they come out of the hull, and they're very bright.
Okay.
They are not coming on. Could be a bulb, could be a fuse. To me, I'm going to guess this is all fuse stuff.
Okay.
We've got wiper blades that are pretty well gone. Our port wiper, as you see, is kind of lagging behind there.
Yeah, it's got a little...
And then our starboard wiper lagging behind. So those wiper blades are pretty well gone, so I replaced those. again, the gauges and things, we won't be able to see the operation and how everything performs until we get it in the water.
Okay.
But these are some of just the things that need to be looked at.
Now with what we have here and with the fuse problems, normally with it, is it a fuse problem or could it be a ground problem with?
It could be a ground problem.
See, that was always my worry
until
when
you
I
get into it. But a lot of your wiring you can access.
Oh,
right
you're
here.
right there now.
Yeah.
Very good, and that looks all pretty clean.
Yeah. So you're going to have a little bit of doing there. Again, these are things that we see on a daily basis on these older boats that are going to need a little fixing. So.
Well, this boat brand new, you were looking at 70, 80,000 at least.
This boat new today is probably 300,000 to 400,000.
Woo.
So, but when you look at that, you take a boat minimum, let's just say 300, 350,000, and you look at 25,000, 30,000, whatever they're going for today, it's quite a value.
Right.
You know, going down the lake or out in the lake or going down the river, the average layman can't tell you if it's a new boat or an old boat.
Sure. Sure.
So it becomes a matter of economics.
And that's what this TV show is all about. It's the elbow grease of, I'm as OCD when it comes to a boat. My favorite times on my boat when I had one before would be on Wednesday nights when I'd get off work. I'd come down, bring out the Simple Green. I'd have me a little cocktail, scrubbing it all down, listening to me some music. Nobody around me. I was in heaven.
Then this boat's for you, Mike. So what we have here is a marine rated or a marine air conditioning system. These are water cooled and they are reverse cycle heat pumps. Very little maintenance other than you got to keep water rolling through them, which is pretty much done by a pump located in the engine room there. And it circulates water, cools the compressor and puts it back out. Very simple system and they do a nice job. Maintenance wise, it's just a matter of a filter. This does look, yes, it does have a filter. It's a mesh filter and it does appear to be dirty. So this pulls out and you can access the filter or take it back from here, pull it out and clean it. So that's the only thing you got to do with this here. It's pretty easy to maintain. Our galley, we've got a 2-burner stove, which acts as you can use electric or alcohol. I don't suggest alcohol. It's kind of primitive, and it's kind of no fun. So you got a switch on the main panel where you can operate this with electric only. Of course, your sink, and then we've got a built-in refrigerator freezer here, which we're going to test in a few minutes, and then a microwave. So when we were outside the boat, looking at the overall picture, when they built these boats, these port lights or these side lights, which allow light in the boat, they use a plexiglass cover on the outside. And in the past, on many of the boats of this model, we find that plexiglass has leaked. And when Mike and I were standing outside, I said, I'll bet you that we've got leaks in there. And if you look over here, we kind of got the same thing going on. What I'm very surprised about is we don't have any leaks, and it's very uncommon to not have any. Even when you look around these port lights or portholes, whatever you want to call them. Nothing. What we do have is in a couple of these deck hatches, we've got areas that in the past, and I say in the past, you can tell by looking at this, it's had a couple leaks.
Hit it with Resolve, maybe. Probably
that might clean up. And we've had leaks here, and this just looks like water that's went this way, and we'll verify that when we get on top of the boat here.
And could this also have been from the fact that somebody just fell asleep with the hatch open? And
Not really.
Okay.
It's leaked before. I would watch it over the summer. Looking at this is from a long ago.
Yeah.
So, Mike, it could be that they did leave it open, but I would just kind of monitor it. And if they do leak, it's basically pulling these hatches and rebedding them.
Right.
But those are good hatches. Those are Bomar, and those are high quality hatches.
Fantastic.
We're on the fore deck of the boat right now, and this is all fiber reinforced plastic. It's basically made in 2 pieces. When they lay these up at the factory, they don't use a lot of fiberglass, a lot of plastic, a lot of gel. So it's thin, more thin than everything else on the boat, less dense. What we find is on this deck, or these decks, we find areas that are wet, we find areas that are moist. We take our meter, we throw it on there, and we see that it's pegged. Right. What's that tell me? That tells me it's wicked up with water. The real test is we're going to go around, and you can hear it's spongy. Same here. As you get further back, see the difference? So as you get further back, it doesn't have as much water wicked in it. So this portion of the boat is pretty well wicked up with water. It's got a couple little areas that are spongy. We walked port and starboard side gunnels all the way back. Most of it's wet, but not spongy in any of these areas. It appears to be through here. Again, it is something in an older boat I don't like, but it becomes what we can live with and what the end value of the boat will be.
We're recording. All right. Well, Tony, that's actually the first step, right?
Sure is.
We got to do this sea trial.
Yep, a sea trial next to see how she performs and temperatures and pressures, and make sure she plugs in and shore powering on the high voltage works, the air conditioning. There's a lot to be done.
Well, you know, all the time we were looking at everything, you had to kind of, Mike, this boat is X amount of dollars, but you're getting it for Y right now, and it's basically up to you, and you kind of know how to fix these, and you got good people that can do that.
Correct. And a survey, a lot of people think that a boat survey passes or fails. Well, it does not pass or it doesn't fail. A survey is a matter of an opinion of somebody that's hopefully more educated than you.
Right.
So it's just an opinion. We do not pass or fail. We come up with an overall condition, which I'm going to say might meet the fair, and then we put a value on it. So if they're asking hypothetically $35,000 for the boat, I may feel it's only worth $20,000. I won't know until I can run the numbers and comp the boat and see what it's worth. But everything that you find adds up.
Right.
Takes off the price of the boat. And we won't know that until we run the numbers.
Well, we knew going into this that upholstery work definitely needed to be done. The interior, it's not bad.
Not bad.
I mean, little stuff.
No, for an older boat, it's pretty nice.
For a 56-year-old single guy, come on. Now, if I had a wife.
Is that an advertisement, Mike?
Yeah, no, that's not an advertisement.
All right.
But if I had a wife, you got to do this, you got to do this. Where I'm like, you know what? it's pretty cool. That's a nice looking boat inside. And once we find out on the heat and their air conditioning and things like that, and my big concern were the leaks and some of the soft spots, but you seem to think that, I mean, they're always going to be there. And
in an older boat, these are things that again add up to the value. And then the other thing is how's this thing going to perform under full power?
Right.
With both engines operating, RPMs, oil pressures, and things like that. So there's still some work to be done.
Well, this is the man, Captain Tony.
Thank you.
He's going to be doing a lot of stuff with us here on the show throughout our whole 16 weeks that we'll do, but it's obviously going to be a lot more than 16 weeks because I want to get this stuff out now, and everybody on our internet sites can watch them, and then we'll kind of get them in there too. But Tony, I know this is a time you're knocking on people knocking on your doors a lot, huh?
Yes, this is the time of year, and the season is probably starting a little earlier this year. Even I think people just being cooped up inside all winter have just had it.
Yeah.
And they're heading out to buy boats, and they're calling, and it's hopefully, knock on fiberglass, partly wood here. They keep calling. So
fantastic. If you need anything, Tony, give me your telephone number.
Captain Tony, 419-350-9777.
The guy can get it all done for you, and he really gave me some big ideas on what we'll be able to do with this boat over the next few weeks here on Lake Erie Port O Call.